Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Hometown Heroes. I'm Mike Kenichi, and I'm excited tonight because we have a very special guest. She's one of my favorite people ever. She's currently a junior at Massac High School, a member of the cheerleading team. She's done it all. It is my honor to have on Hometown Heroes, Anne-Marie Field. And Anne-Marie, I want to thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So Anne-Marie, let me ask you, cheerleading has really taken off over the last 25 years. Kids are in competitions all the time. You have to start at it at a very early age, though, to really kind of, get good at it. How old were you when you first had the love for cheerleading?
I think I was around like 7, I think. Um, yeah, I remember I was just in like second grade and all my friends were doing it and then I really wanted to do it, so I joined.
Right. And let me ask you, did your mother, aunt or whoever, did they cheerlead when they were in school? I mean, did you ever have an introduction to it before, your friends started doing it, or is that just kind of how it happened?
No, my mom was more of like a dancer, but I think I asked her in first grade and she said no. And then I
Right.
asked her again because I wouldn't stop asking, and then she said yes. But I had no
Right.
knowledge.
Right. And let me ask you, the first year you did cheerleading, let me ask you, what was that like for you? Because, at 7 years old, you're still kind of very much a little kid. You're not always going to pay attention all the time at practices, stuff like that. And, the coaches, they're pretty demanding sometimes, because they can't afford to have the girls get hurt or anything. So just let me ask you, what was that first year like for you? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I loved it like immediately. I remember we would practice outside every day, I'm pretty sure. Cuz my team, like at the time we couldn't compete, like it like wasn't allowed. So we practiced outside. And I was a base, so I lifted people. And I remember loving it. I've loved learning all the little cheers and stuff. I would always go home and like do them for my parents. I would like go home and just be like, look what I learned today. Um, but yeah, I remember I really, really loved it and I had a good time.
Right. Anne Marie, it's funny you say doing chairs when you go home and stuff. I remember my sister as a kid, she cheerleaded and, she'd be in the bathroom mirror, combing her hair and doing chairs. Did you find yourself doing that a lot when you were at a young age? Like,
I
just
still
no
do
matter.
that.
Right. So, I mean, that shows that you really love it, though, because, I mean, if you're constantly doing it when you don't have to, that love is there every single day.
Yeah, I
Right.
do love it a lot.
Right. So let me ask you, was there any influences though that you really liked? I mean, was there anybody you saw on TV or, anybody from the high school level that you watched that you really like idolized? Anybody in particular?
There were like influencers, I guess, like that would post on YouTube and stuff, like all their videos, and I would watch them. Mainly like Gabby Butler, like she still is a huge inspiration. She's an amazing cheerleader all around. And all like there were when I was younger, they're called like dems, like demos from the high school would come and they would help us like with our routines and stuff. So I looked up to them a lot, and they still
Right.
like help like influence me a lot to keep going and stuff.
Right. So let me ask you, Anne Marie, did you start off at Stratford Cheer, Pop Warner? How did what team did you do the first year?
I was in Stratford Pop Warner. I did that for 5 years.
Yeah.
Um, and then I moved to Monroe and I did Monroe AYC for 1 year, and then I moved to high school. So I've done high school ever since at Massac.
Right. We talked about your mom a little bit briefly. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. She was your coach for about 4 or 5 years, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's always a little tricky, Emery, because while it's nice to have your parent coaching you, sometimes, they're always going to be a little tougher on you because they don't want to show favoritism. So just tell me what that experience was like having your mom as your Pop Warner coach.
My mom was definitely not picking favorites. She was very hard on me. But it was in a good way. It wasn't out of she wasn't mean. Like she was just like
Right.
trying to make me better, and she did. She helped me a lot. She coached me in Stratford for 3 years and then Monroe for my 1 year. But she definitely did not pick favorites. She called me out when I needed to be called out. Like
Right.
so Yeah, she coached me in soccer as well, but that was like when I was really little, and she's always been my coach and stuff. But she
Right.
always like still helps me, like even when like I'm doing cheer and stuff, I'll come home and have to talk to her about it because like no one else really knows. But I did really
Right.
like her as my coach. Like not maybe not in the moment, but I really did like her like overall as a coach.
Right. So it sounds like, Anne Marie, you appreciate, having your mom as a coach, what she taught you, the lessons that she gave you. But at the time, I mean, were there some car rides when you went home where you were kind of fighting with her because you thought she was too hard on you, or, maybe she was trying to correct you in a nice way and you thought it was, you were taking it personally? Would you say that happened at all a little bit?
Yeah, I would get in the car and just shut down. I would not talk to her at all. I did not like in the moment, like I liked her as my coach, but like for her disciplining me because she was still my mom as she was coaching. So
Right.
she would just like I don't know. Like I would get in the car and she would just be like just like rant about it and like everything that I was doing. And I remember just sitting in the car and being like, "Oh no, like this is not fun at all." But like practice the next day, I'd be back to normal.
Right. So, Anne Marie, let me ask you. I know you've done multiple competitions throughout the years, and you've traveled a lot. But let me ask you: that first year of Pop Warner, did you girls compete at all, or was the first year more of a learning thing, and you mainly just did games?
So when I was it's there's like different age levels. So I started as a Mighty Mite, and when I was doing it, Tiny Mites and Mighty Mites weren't allowed to compete. They were just kind of like an exhibition team. Now
Right.
in Pop Warner, Mighty Mites can compete, but so I didn't compete, but we still went to competitions. But we didn't like actually like compete for a trophy or anything. We just competed like and did a routine for fun.
Right. So, what year was your first competition, and do you remember exactly where it was, and what was the experience like?
Um, I remember I had to be a junior peewee, so it had to be like 9 or 10, maybe
Right.
9. Um, and it was at Hill House in New Haven,
Right.
and I remember being very very like nervous, and I'm pretty sure we won first place overall, and I mean I'm pretty sure, but I remember sitting at awards and not paying attention with my friend, and it was like our division being called up for like who was winning and stuff. And I
Yeah.
turned to see my coach like freaking out next to me, and I was kind of like, "What?" And she was like, "We just won." And I was like, "What?" And then they announced it, and I was like, "Ah!" So yeah, that was a great moment.
Right. And that's kind of funny because you're nervous wondering how you girls are going to do, and then you just happen to be talking to your friend and you kind of missed the announcement. So, that it's kind of funny that it worked out that way, but that's a pretty cool moment for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, Anne Marie, what I always find amazing about what you girls do and, what cheerleaders in general do is the amount of work that goes in to basically practice for a 90-second performance, because pretty much your performances at competitions are maybe 2 minutes at the most. They're not really long, but there's a lot of work that goes into it. And I'll see at the Pop Warner games sometimes, or even the high school games whenever I go, and they do that one cheer where they throw the girl up in the air, and my God, I always think that poor girl, she must fear for her life. Just talk to me about like how important it is to have your timing right, because that's a perfect example. You could get somebody hurt if you don't have your timing right. Just talk to me about the preparation that goes into you know getting involved in these competitions and preparing for them.
Well, everything is done to very specific counts. So it goes by 8 counts. So if you're told to lift or dip on one and you dip on two, you mess the
Yeah.
entire stunt up and you have to start over because there's no getting back from it. So everyone has to get the counts very correct because if you don't, like one thing could mess everything else up. So you really have to work together as your team to know when to do those counts and practice together to hit the right things on the right counts.
Right.
And yeah, it just takes a lot of trust and like strength and working together. And they use like I've seen really amazing routines and I've seen really awful routines, but in the really awful teams and the really good teams, everyone's working together and trying their hardest. So
Right.
like you just have to have that factor of working together and knowing what to do on the right time and having a lot of trust in everyone.
Right. And think about what you girls throughout the years have given up, because you girls do this year round, if I'm not mistaken, especially now. But you get a little summer break, and then August 1st comes and you're starting up again. So it cuts into your summer a little bit, and you're out there practicing every night in the hot weather. Sometimes you may have to go in the gym if it rains. So, I mean, there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into it, but that's the kind of commitment and dedication you girls have, to be as good as you could be. Just talk about, the commitment factor, what you girls have to give up.
It's a very big commitment. I know for high school, we start practices usually like July, like very late summer, and like there's like called like captains practices. So like it's just you as a team without your coaches there. It's just your captains, and you just have like little like practice. You don't do like as much, but you start like learning your team and learning your cheers and stuff. Um, and then over the year for high school, it's a fall and a winter sport. So in the fall, we're mainly going to like football games and practicing for those while also preparing for competition season. And once football is over, then it's just grinding for competition. And the first one's usually like January or February. And right now we have practice like 6 days a week for like 2-3 hours ish. So it's a very big commitment. And like if one girl isn't there for one day, it really affects the entire team. And it's just a
Right.
very like you have to stay committed. If you sign up, you have to be committed because one girl can make everyone else fall.
Right. And Anne Marie, I'm sure now in high school, you're able to balance the schoolwork and cheerleading better. But, when you're a young kid in elementary school, you don't realize when you're going to cheer every night how much it's going to affect, getting your homework done, studying, stuff like that. Did you find that to be a struggle at all, trying to juggle cheerleading and schoolwork when you were, say, like fifth or sixth grade?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I had practice like 6 to 8 every night. Like, it was very time consuming. And so I would just get home from school at like 3 and then just have to do everything right then and there because I knew I had cheer that day, that I had to get everything done and I had to like
Right.
just get everything done now because I have no time later. Um, so yeah, but I did manage to, but it was very, very difficult.
Right. And, I'm not a big expert on cheerleading. I don't pretend to be, but, I know there's different positions you do, and you've done every position through Pop Warner in high school with stunting, correct? So
Yeah.
just talk about that a little bit.
So majority of my cheer career, I guess, I've been a base, which is lifting people. There's two kinds of bases. There's a main and a side. The main is the girl on the right, and she basically you're more of like the powerhouse, so you
Yeah.
can hold the girl up like really strong, and the side helps. Everyone helps, but the main holds more directly, and the side would have like more of like a different grip and not holding the foot as much kind of. But I've
Right.
been both. I've mainly like when I was younger, I was mainly a main base, and then I would side base sometimes, but very rarely. I've been a flyer, which I still currently am,
Right.
which is going up in the air and doing everything. That's probably flying's probably my favorite out of all of
Wow.
them.
So you're not
Yeah.
afraid of so you're not afraid
No.
of heights. And
No.
Anne Marie, I know a lot of cheerleaders, they also dance too. It kind of goes hand in hand. It kind of helps with coordination, all that stuff. Did you ever do dance, or were you strictly just cheerleading?
I did dance when I was little, and I did gymnastics, but I did them like years before I did cheerleading, and then once I did cheer, I just loved it automatically. But it definitely is a combination of both of them.
Right. And Anne Marie, we'll get to more competitions in a second, but talk about the football games from Pop Warner to AYF to high school, because one of the things that's really cool about cheerleading is, I always say this for the cheerleaders, those football games are really a night off for you girls, because you get to really have fun. You get to cheer while the game's going on. You get to enjoy yourselves. I know in past, if the guys score a touchdown, the girls do push-ups for how many points they scored. So just talk about the football games, especially like, maybe when you were younger going to Pop Warner ones. It had to be real cool, especially like to see both your parents in the stands cheering you on. That had to be a cool feeling for you.
Yeah, for Pop Warner and AYF, it was on Sundays, like Sunday mornings. I did not like those at all. I was so mad when I had to wake up because
Yeah,
I did not like them because they were so early in the morning and you had to put your uniform on, you had to do your hair, you had to do all this stuff so early, and then you would go, and then I was like, this isn't even a good football game. Like, they're too little as
yeah.
I'm the same exact age as them, but they like I did not like them, but in high school I love Friday nights. Like they're my favorite. Um they're just such a good like feeling. Like they're just so fun.
Yeah,
I like this year has been a really good football season for Massic. Like we've had really really good games. So
right,
like this is probably my favorite football cheer season of my life.
right.
But as we did like the push-ups, our team actually does not like the push-ups at all, and we were like, you know what, we're gonna stop the tradition. We're just gonna find something else. So we usually do like jumps or a stunt or something. But yeah, I love the Friday night lights. Like they're so fun. They're so fun.
Right. And you talked about Massic. Big win for them the other day against Newtown, and I think they won the SWC. They're going to play, I believe, Naugatuck in the playoffs. So just talk about what that feeling was like, because you girls are with them all year long. You take the bus rides, you're at every game, so you share in that victory with them. You share in that excitement and enjoyment. So just talk about what that Wednesday night was like the other night, because that had to be a wild night.
That was the most insane night I've ever had. I was sitting, so we stand on these crates so we can see over the football players better. And
Yeah.
I remember it was like 6 seconds left or something. And all of us were off our crates, and I was standing with my two like cheer best friends, Marissa and Kelly, and I was holding their hands like this, and we all were just like I was like holding my breath. I couldn't even breathe.
Right.
And because he tried to kick me a field goal, and everyone it was like silent. Like I literally like was like shaking, and then he kicked it in, and I didn't even see it go in. I thought it missed, and then I hear everyone just start cheering, and then I start cheering because I realized, and
Yeah.
then everyone started rushing on the field, but there was still the game wasn't over, so everyone had to go back off the field.
Right.
But then the 2 seconds were up, and then everyone rushed out on the field, and I saw like all my friends and stuff, and it was just such a good moment because we haven't beat Newtown in like a decade, so it
Right.
was insane.
And the thing is, Newtown's a rival for Massic. They always play Thanksgiving Eve all the time, every Wednesday night, before Thanksgiving. So, I mean, it's been a big rivalry, and the two towns are right next to each other. So, I mean, you get bragging rights for that year, and you're in the playoffs. Had to just be a wonderful night.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
loved it. Yeah.
Right. So, Anne Marie, let me ask you this: as a young kid, maybe now mom was obviously your coach, but maybe like when we're all kids, we always want to impress our parents. We want them to watch us, that we want them to say to us after the games, great job and stuff. Did you find yourself at times when you were cheering, keeping an eye on your mom or dad, seeing if they were watching you and stuff? I mean,
Yeah.
was it important to kind of like, show them how good you were as a cheerleader?
Yeah, I definitely take a lot of pride in what I do. So every competition, I would always look for my parents in the stands. Like I would I would run out on the mat and stand in my spot and just scan the entire crowd looking for my mom or dad.
Yeah.
And then I would see them, and I would just I would feel like so much better because I would be I get very very nervous. I cry after every time I compete because I get so nervous. And
Right.
I would look for them in the stands, and then it just calms me down a lot because I'm like, okay, I know they're here. I know I can do it, whatever. But even when I got like games and stuff, like I'll turn around to cheer and I'll see my mom and my sister sitting there, and I just like look directly at them, and it makes cheering a lot easier. And yeah,
Right.
I love like showing my parents what I can do.
Right. And Anne Marie, the thing that also, about football games and stuff like that is you girls also, I'm pretty sure, do basketball games. So I mean, like I've said, you with competitions, with football games, basketball games, I'm sure pep rallies, all that stuff. You girls are constantly cheering all the time. And while it's fun, I'm sure there's days you're like, okay, I need a day off. I'm exhausted, stuff like that. But you girls just give that commitment, pretty much 365 days a year. I mean, the amount of dedication that you've put in, to do this is unbelievable. I mean, does it ever get tiring for you, or do you just love it so much?
It definitely gets very tiring and very like it gets overwhelming a lot. Um, but like I'll get home some days if we don't have practice after school and just fall asleep, and then I do not want to get back up and go to practice. So it definitely is very overwhelming and very tiring. But like it's just kind of all worth it for like competing and stuff and like being with my team. Like everything kind of like once you're out for me, once I get out there competing and I just did my routine, I get off the mat, I feel like everything is worth it for that moment. So like all the overwhelming, the tiredness, like the stress, everything just gets so worth it that I just have to push through and wait for that because I like that's what I look for.
Right. And Anne Marie, change is good, and change sometimes could be tough. I mean, it could work both ways. And you mentioned in the beginning of this interview that you did cheer because some of your friends were doing it, and you wanted to do it because they were doing it. Now, you cheered at Stratford for about 3 or 4 years. Then you moved to Monroe and you started cheering in Monroe. I mean, that's never easy because you have to start and make new friends again. Was that adjustment hard for you? I mean, did you struggle with that the first year cheering in Monroe, or were you able to just, go with the flow?
I struggled with that a lot. I moved to Monroe when I was in seventh grade, and even outside of cheer, it was very, very difficult for me to make new friends and stuff like that. But for cheer, I cheered with younger girls because there wasn't anyone my age except one of my other friends,
Yeah.
and so she made it very easy for me to like find people and everything. But they were also just so much younger than me. But I didn't really care because I wasn't gonna stop cheering just because I didn't have any friends. I was cheering to cheer.
Right.
Um, so, but I still loved them. They were also super sweet, and yeah. So it definitely was very difficult to get back in it, and then especially moving to high school the next year was very
Yeah.
difficult because I didn't know anyone at all. But I still love it, and I'm still super close with all the girls now.
Right. And let me ask you, you still talk to these girls, obviously, from Stratford. That's the good thing about social media. There's a lot of bad things, but the good thing about it is, you can keep in touch with all these girls. You still talk to them on a regular basis?
I talked to most of them. I'm still very close with like a couple of them. But yeah, I still like comment on their Instagram posts or something. Like I still am very close with them.
Right. Anne Marie, talking about being close with somebody you're very close to is also a cheerleader. She's a grade behind you, but she's been one of your best friends as well, and that's your cousin Bryn, who cheers for Shelton High School. And you two, it kind of is a great thing because you're both around the same age, so you've always been together for years. Just talk about the relationship with her and the friendship you've had with her over these last pretty much your whole life.
Bryn is like a sister to me. Um, we are very, very, very close, and yeah, like she's like a sister to me. She's like only 6 months younger. I would spend every single day there when I was little. I still
Right.
do. Like, um, I love her to death, and so I remember when I moved to Monroe, I like because Stratford never competed against Shelton because Shelton's AYC, Stratford's Pop Warner. We never went to competition together. But when I was in Monroe, they're AYC, so I got to be with competitions with her, and it was just so much fun, like watching her compete because her team's amazing. Shelton's amazing at cheer.
Right.
So watching them compete was really fun, and knowing like Bryn was out there was even better. Um, but yeah,
Right. And, I'm sure it's pretty cool because when you're getting ready for a big competition, cheer competition, same thing with her. You two could kind of talk to each other, maybe calm each other down, not even to talk about cheer so much, just kind of talk about life in general. And so I'm sure that is like always good to have her there when, you're having a big competition.
yeah, I will FaceTime her when I get home from practice and just tell her like everything. Like I was just like rant to her and be like everything that happened that like practice that was annoying me. I just like tell her, and then she'll like just say give the same energy back to me, and it works
Yeah.
really well. Or even when I'm like trying to make routines for my teams that I coach, I'll FaceTime her and I'll just be like, I have no idea what to do after this. I need your help so desperately. She'll
Right.
always help me.
Right. Anne Marie, what I think is very impressive about you, obviously you're a tremendous cheerleader, but you've been able to maintain great grades in the classroom. I think, from fifth grade on, you've always had honors, straight A's, straight B's. You were also part of the National Juniors Honor Society in elementary school. So, that's never easy. When you're putting in all that work every day, like I said, 365 days a year, it's not always easy to be able to do homework, to study, to make sure you're maintaining good grades. You've been able to do that. So just talk about how you've been able to, keep your grades up in the classroom.
I definitely do make time in my schedule to study and do my homework and stuff like that. And yeah, like I know junior year, especially like from what I've heard, it's very difficult. So like currently, like I'm really trying to prioritize everything at the same time, but having cheer makes it kind of difficult because it does take time out of like my schedule and stuff. But I always have to make time because I always know I have to make time for my studies and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I try to keep my grades up. I think I have like 2 B's right now and all
Right.
A's. Um, but it has been very difficult like over the years and stuff. But I have had like honors since like fifth grade. And I really do pride myself in my academics. Like I feel like it's a very good thing to be good at school.
Right.
And especially like the pandemic and stuff last year really like was harder, but I still kept my straight A's and stuff. And yeah.
Right. And, I know it's still a little early, but it's kind of getting close. You're going to graduate, next year. Let me ask you, do you have any idea at this moment what you'd like to do when you get out of high school?
I know I want to go into psychology. I really I'm very interested with psychology and all that stuff. More specifically like neuropsych. It's just very interesting to me. I like research psychology, just something with psychology, but mainly neuropsychology.
Right. And that's a, great thing. And, I really applaud you for that. Anne Marie, let me ask you, you've won multiple competitions, you and your teammates, but, 2017 was a big year for you girls. You made it to nationals. I think you girls were even interviewed on the news. You got to be on TV. And I think you were probably in sixth or seventh grade back then. So just talk about what that feeling was like, because, when you put all this hard work in, yeah, it's easy to say to the girls, we're just happy to be here. But, there are the competitor in you girls wants to win too, because you put that work in. So just talk about what that feeling was like.
That was in my sixth grade year. That was probably my favorite cheer competition year. Um,
Right.
we had my team was amazing. I loved our coach was amazing. Like everyone was just working really together. And I've been with those girls like my entire life. That was my last year in Stratford. So that year was very, very special to me, and I knew I wanted to make it something to remember, and we really did.
Right.
We were our SWC champions. Then we moved on to states, and we got state champion title. And then we went to regionals in Massachusetts and got regional champions. And then we went to nationals, and we got fourth place in the entire nation. Out
Right.
of a lot of teams, I don't remember how many, like 12 or 16. They got a lot of teams, so it was really rewarding, and it was very stressful. But yeah, that was my last year in Stratford, so it was very, very memorable, and that was my favorite year.
Right. And, just what is the feeling like though, Anne Marie? Like, it was kind of funny. You said you always cry after a competition, which, I'm sure that's from the stress, and there's also relief as well. But what's the feeling like when you win a competition? I mean, I know you described the one where you and your friend didn't realize you girls won, but I mean, what does it feel like when they announce, Stratford is the winner or Monroe's the winner? I mean, that just has to be an unbelievable feeling when you hear that.
I can't even describe it. It's just so much adrenaline at one time, and knowing all the work you put in to get there. Um, Everything just like I don't know. It's like it's my favorite feeling in the world. Like there's just so much adrenaline and like happiness that just fills my entire body, and I get so
Right.
excited. Like even like after competing, like I'll run out on the mat, and then I'm standing there waiting for the music to start, and it's just nerves all over, and I just like I it's terrifying, but it's like so exhilarating, and you do the entire routine, especially when you like do everything perfectly, and it's called like hitting zero, like you hit perfectly. Like having that feeling, like doing the dance, which is always like the last part of the routine, and there's just so much energy and everyone's cheering for you.
Right.
And it's just such a good feeling, and the entire like cheer community is very supportive with that. And like even like if you're competing against a team and they lose against you, they still always like come up to you, congratulate you, like we all did a good job. Like everyone's just very supportive, and that entire feeling of it all is just amazing.
Right. Let's uh step away from cheerleading for a second. Let me just ask you this. I mean, what are some of the hobbies you like to do outside of cheer? I mean, and are you able to like go out with your friends a lot and stuff? I mean, are there things you enjoy to do besides just cheer?
Yeah, I go out with my friends. That's usually what I do in my free time.
Right.
Um, I love to read. I love to be with my family, especially my little sister. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I like to do a lot of things, but I'm mainly with my friends or my family.
Right. And let me ask you this. Because you cheer so much, when you see a movie that's based on cheer, they've come out with a lot of those movies over the years. I mean, do you watch them? Do you kind of analyze them? Do you say, okay, she didn't do that routine right, stuff like that? I mean, do you get into those type of movies when they show them?
It frustrates me so much when there's cheer movies because they're like 80% of the time never accurate.
Right.
Like Bring It On is a big cheer movie, and it's not completely wrong, but like it's not completely like what it is like at all. It's also like a little long time ago, so it's not like completely accurate to now, but like watching like those cheer movies and stuff, like the way they talk is just so like stereotypical, and it's just like very like not what it's like at all.
Right.
Because I'll watch them anyways, because I'll watch them to be like, what are they talking about? Or like, I don't know, like they're never
Right.
accurate.
Yeah. I always, especially when they show basketball movies, I'll watch sometimes and I'll be like, my God, they force everything. Anne-Marie, one of the things people don't realize about you, which is just, again, another remarkable thing about you is, you're putting all this time in the chair, you've got schoolwork and stuff, and you've also volunteered your time as a student coach for Monroe for, 3 years now. Talk about that a little bit, because again, that's commitment, when you're leaving cheer practice, then you're helping coach. I mean, you're constantly giving your time to these girls. Talk about that a little bit.
Um, coaching for I've coached for Monroe. Coaching for Monroe is like so great. I love all the girls so much. They're all the sweetest. Like I miss them
Yeah.
so much. I love them. This year I coached 2 teams. I coached my little tiny mites and my mighty mites. My tiny mites don't compete for like a prize or whatever. They just compete for fun. I made their entire routine. Um, with the head coach Erica. And it was so fun. Like I had a great time. Like it took like my mind off of like everything in like a good way. Like they practice like 3 times a week. Like and they're only like 5. Like they practice
Right.
all the time, and they're so cute. And my mighty mites, they're still competing. They're actually going to nationals this year. They've gotten first in all their competitions, and they're amazing. I like they're so good. And I've done a lot of the girls since they were like that tiny, my age, like 5 to 7. I know them now, and they're like 10 years old, and it's just like it's amazing seeing them growing up, and it's just like watching myself like in a mirror, like me being little, like having the exact same
Right.
like they're the same age I was when I started, and seeing them do what I like was doing is just incredible, and I love it.
Right. And, Anne-Marie, it's more football people I talk to. I'll talk to different football coaches, and I'll talk to them about their playing careers. And mostly all of them will always say, well, I enjoy the coaching aspect of it more than I did when I was playing. Have you found, because you've been coaching these girls for the last 3 years and you really enjoy it, have you found that you're enjoying coaching more than competing, or are you still in that competitive mode where you still like that more?
I'm definitely still in competitive mode. I like
Yeah.
I'll like be helping them with their teams and stuff, and all I can think of is I want to be able to do this like right now. Like I wish I was doing this at the moment. And
Right.
I'm getting into that competition season again, and like I'm already like just getting so excited for it. But seeing them like it makes me miss competing and I only have like 2 years left of it, so I'm really just trying to like take my time and stuff and really enjoy it. And actually seeing them being so young has made me like really appreciate it a lot more. Seeing like how I was already that age and I'm already like almost done, like with my cheerleading is like a big motivation factor for me.
Right. And Anne-Marie, let me ask you, I mean, are there things in school, like, we've obviously talked about your grades, but are there things that you're doing in school, like, like leadership programs and stuff like that? Because you really seem like a leader, somebody who really takes charge, takes initiative. I mean, do you do student council or any of that stuff in school, or do you just not
Mm.
have time for it, really?
I don't really have time.
Right.
Because mainly everything's like after school and stuff like that, and I don't have time for it.
Right. Now, let me ask you, Anne-Marie, another thing people don't really realize about you is all this stuff you've done, all these competitions. Wow, it's impressive. People don't realize you've had to overcome a lot of injuries over the years because you've had multiple injuries. You know, I'm sure at times you wanted to bang your head against the wall, but you've really like never let it stop you from achieving everything you wanted to achieve. Talk about some of the injuries you've had over the years and how hard was it to, get through them.
I've had I have very like weak ankles and stuff like that.
Right.
So I've gotten I don't even know how many injuries from cheer, but um I've sprained my ankle 3 times. One of them I was doing cheer. I was trying to do my front walkover in my house, and I was on my mat, and I landed with both
Oh,
feet on the hardwood floor, and I
oh,
sprained my ankle. And
ouch.
then
Ouch.
yeah, and then my freshman year, I broke 3 bones in my foot from
Oh,
well, I was walking and I fell, but I the doctor said it was from cheer and stuff like that, and I think that fall was
right.
just kind of like the final like breaking point.
Right.
So having all that, I still struggle with it a lot. I like can barely like walk sometimes. Like when I get home from cheer, um, it's very frustrating because I want to be able to just do everything like everyone else, but I physically can't because I don't want to push myself that hard that I can't do anything anymore.
Right.
So it definitely does take away from like my experience stuff like that. But it's just I don't know, like it's just very difficult um to having like protect myself but also wanting to do everything. It gets very like hard to like pick what I want to push myself to do. And yeah, so but I think they've only made me stronger. They've only made me try to push myself as much as I can, like coming back from injuries and stuff like that, just like having to get everything back into it like super fast. Like it just keeps me getting back into like life pretty much. Um
Right.
but yeah,
Now,
it gets
have you found yourself having to stretch a little more than you normally do? I mean, do you do any, you know, conditioning just to kind of keep your legs strong? Like, are you ever on the treadmill or the elliptical just to kind of keep your legs fresh? Is there anything that you changed when you were having all these injuries?
Um, I definitely just I stretch a lot. Like I will just be sitting like watching TV or something and I'm just stretching like my ankles or my everything. Like even at cheer, like I will have to like stop doing stuff and just like sit down and just stretch out my ankle really quick because I can't like move. Um but I definitely just try to keep making them stronger and stuff like that because they're very weak. And I have tendonitis in both of my
Oh,
legs, so it makes it very difficult. So I'm just trying to like make my muscles just stronger.
right. And Anne-Marie, let me ask you because, what I've always found, like I said, very telling about you is wow, you're a great athlete, great student, stuff like that. You've had to overcome a lot of this stuff. It's never easy. Life could be stressful sometimes, yet you always, answer the call every time you're challenged with something. What has made you so determined to, answer all these challenges in your life? I mean, do you just feel like you've always, I don't want to say been the underdog type kid, but like you've always had to work hard, and it's always made. Do you think it's made you stronger and a better person?
I've had a lot of really hard challenges in my life. Like I've been through a lot. But it definitely has made me stronger. Um, I use that to I try to use it all the hardships to my advantage. Um,
Right.
of trying to just push myself and prove to myself that I'm not that person anymore and I'm just so much stronger.
Right.
And so yeah, it definitely has helped a lot. Like,
Right.
but it definitely
And
has not been very easy.
right. And I'm sure, when you're going through tough times, whether it's injuries, whatever it might be, school, just, the struggle of life sometimes, because we all go through that. I'm sure when you overcome all of this and you do these great things that you're doing in your life, it makes it, that more rewarding because you've seen the struggle you've went through. You've seen the, work you've had to put in. You've seen everything that's been a constant challenge, yet you've always, hit it out of the ballpark. So, I mean, it has to be a good feeling as well.
Yeah. It definitely is very rewarding to look back and see what I have came from and knowing that I'm just so much stronger now and I used everything to get to where I am and I'm definitely just a better person and look like it's just really rewarding to see what like I've done with what I've been given.
Right. And, Anne Marie, because you've went through things like this, with the injuries, all that stuff, where you've had to kind of, scratch and crawl a little bit to get back up and things like that. When you see a teammate who might have had like a, maybe you guys did a routine, she didn't like how she did it, or she got very frustrated because, she had a rough day. Are you the type of person that will go up to that girl and just talk to her and say, listen, don't worry about it. We're behind you. You're going to be okay. Just, it's over with. Just, let's move on from it. I mean, are you like that type of teammate where you're always, consoling the other girls who may be having a rough day?
Yeah, I try to be as supportive as I can. Like I know we have a lot of new people this year and I definitely try to uplift them a lot because you get very hard on yourself very easily because like you're like, "Oh, that was my fault. Like I did that wrong." Like I do that too all the time. I try to be very supportive and just show them like you have to keep going because I know you can do it. So like yeah, I know you can. Like with tumbling and stuff, like I'll always be the person sitting there like with like bags of ice on my ankles and still cheering for everyone while they're going. Like I try to
Right.
be very supportive.
Right. And Anne Marie, the things that are also rewarding about what you do with cheer and stuff is, I'm sure you girls have a blast on those bus rides to the games, and then when the games are over, you're on the way back, you might hear a song and you're all singing it and you're all just friends. That's the thing that's the, best part about everything is all of you are together, you're united, you have that bond with each other. So, I mean, those bus rides, two games and back have to be so much fun because you really are a family doing this for so many years together. That just has to make it even that much more special for you.
Yeah, I love my team. I love every single girl that's on that team. They are like my family. Like I love all of them. Like those bus rides are so fun. But someone always has to bring a speaker and like someone
Right.
has to play some good song. Even when we're all tired and stuff, we're all just trying to be there for each other. Like on the way home, like we're all like sleeping, and we're all just like cold and tired, and we're all just sleeping there all peacefully. But
Right.
yeah, I love all of those girls like they're my own family.
Right. Anne Marie, let me ask you this. It's got to be like I mentioned this earlier, and it's got to be exciting that you're going to get to cheer a playoff game. You girls are going to obviously when this airs, the playoff game would have already happened, but Mastic's going to play Naugatuck. That's going to be a lot of fun. If they win, they're going to advance. And I mean, it's a great time in your life right now because so many great things are happening. I mean, you got to be enjoying this ride so much.
Yeah, it definitely is a really great year. I'm very excited for Tuesday. I think it'll be a very good game. Um, and I've never cheered at a playoff game before. Like my freshman year, we didn't make it, and then sophomore year there was no football.
Yeah.
But so I'm very excited, and this year has been amazing. Like our homecoming game was insane. We had a 28-point comeback like that. Like it was
Yeah.
just crazy, and yeah, it's insane. I love this year.
Right. Let me ask you. I mean, it's probably too early still, but do you find yourself getting a little sentimental knowing that, it is coming to an end soon? Because next year will be your senior year, when that football season ends. I mean, yes, you'll have competitions, but for all intents purposes, that'll be the final time you cheer football games. I mean, do you start to get emotional thinking about it, or are you just not thinking about it right now?
I have cried and cried and cried over this. We just had our senior night, like a couple weeks ago, and I just couldn't. I was like a mess. I was like crying into my
Right.
friend's arms because then I was like gonna miss all of these seniors so much. We have 9 seniors on our team right now that I've known since I was a freshman. So it's very difficult seeing them leave, and then it made me realize like that will be me next year.
Yeah.
Like it was their last like home game that they're cheering at, and it was like I was like that is insane. Like that's next year. Like it definitely came up a lot faster than I expected.
Right. And Anne Marie, like I said, schoolwork, cheer, coaching, all that stuff, it's great. There's something else though that people don't realize about you is, here you are, this 16 or 17-year-old kid, and you're already a godmother. Talk about that a little bit, because you're a godmother to your goddaughter Daisy. Talk about that, because that's really cool, and that says a lot about you as a person, that somebody would trust you at a very young age. But that just really that says a lot about you. Talk about that a little bit.
I love my little goddaughter Daisy. Like she is the cutest thing ever. I love
Right.
her. When Jesse asked me to be the godmother, I cried a lot.
Right.
It's like very sweet like moment. And like yeah, I love my goddaughter so much. And it's just like an honor to be able to be that to her and have like grow up with her and help her with everything. Like she's the cutest.
Right. And Anne Marie, I mean, you're still a kid, but I can remember way back when you were like 11 years old. You've always been like a young adult. You've always been very mature, and you've always been very responsible, stuff like that. What do you think like has always like made you be like, you've always had that like part about you where you're responsible, and you always do the right thing all the time. You're not a follower. You do everything, you know, basically how a person should. What do you think that is? I mean, why do you think that you're always so responsible and mature at even a young age?
I think it's just the way I was raised. I was raised to be very respectful.
Right.
Like say please, say thank you, like um just all the role models around me very much like helped make me the person I am. I'm very thankful for all of them, and they've definitely helped me a lot to be
Right.
the person I am.
Right. And I'm sure it's gonna wow, it makes them feel good that, you value them as role models, mentors. When you see these young girls who look at you as a mentor or a role model, it's got to make you feel real good as well. Because again, what you're doing when you're coaching these girls is you're making a difference in their lives every single day.
Yeah, it's very sweet. Like I love those girls so much, and um like whenever I go to their practices, like we're always like I don't know, they're always very cute. Like they always run up and give me a hug and stuff like that. Like they're so adorable, and like it's being how like I was in their exact same position with the older girls that used to come and coach me from the high school. I'd always be like, I want to be exactly like them, and thinking that some of them could possibly think that about me is like very sweet. And I would never, I like ever since I was their age, like I've wanted to be that person. Like I wanted to be able to have like a little cheerleader look at me and be like, I want to be just like her. And it's just very
Right.
sweet to think about.
Right. So, Henry, let me ask you. Obviously, when you graduate high school, the plan is to go to college. But what is the plan as far as cheer goes? Do you want to continue to cheer, or are you going to coach? What is your plan for when high school ends as far as cheer goes?
um, I don't really know. I think
Right.
I would love to cheer in college, but I don't really think I will, just because I know it's very time consuming, and um it's just like a lot. But I'm not really sure. But I would love to coach like I have a little sister who's like 1.5. Like if she did cheerleading, she already does like copy me and stuff. Like she'll do the little cheers all the time. Um,
Yeah.
but if she did cheer, I'd probably like coach her if she needed to. Because I just
R-
I don't want my cheer career to be over, but it has to end sometime.
Right. So, Anne Marie, before we go, what advice would you give to somebody who's, in the same position you were in when you were like 10 or 11 years old, or even in high school right now, and, has these goals, wants to be good at this, wants to be good at that? What advice would you give them as far as, how they can better themselves and just, being a person in general?
To never give up. You are like, you have to just know that you're strong, and you know you more than anyone. So you just never give up ever, because you can do a lot more than you think you can do. Um, don't limit yourself at all. Push past everything. Take in your experience and take in your bad experiences and make you a stronger person. And yeah, just believe in yourself a
Well,
lot, because you are
we
very
know
strong.
Anne Marie, that's awesome advice. And, it just says what you are as a person. And I want to thank you for coming on today. This was a real honor for me. Known you a long time, and, just watching you grow up, you are a terrific person. And I really do applaud you for everything you are, not only as an athlete, but as a human being. And I really do congratulate you. And we're all very proud of you. And, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. It means a lot. It's a very big honor.
Well, no problem. Well, there you have it, folks. I met Anne Marie Field probably when she was 9 or 10 years old. Right away, you could see there was something special about her. Yes, she's a great cheerleader. Yes, she's an awesome student. She's done so many cool things in her life. But, Anne Marie Field, the person, is what stands out to me the most. Never is there a time she isn't kind, generous, considerate, caring. She does those things every day in her life. She's there for everybody, and she has a heart of gold. When you talk about great athletes in life, sometimes you meet them and they're not always what you expect. But if you got the opportunity to meet Anne Marie Field and you only knew her as a cheerleader and got to meet her as the person, you wouldn't be disappointed. She's everything that you want a person to be. For Hometown Heroes, I'm Mike Kenichi saying good night, everyone.